All right, welcome everyone. It's Money Talk Tuesday. I'm Eli from the Office of Economic Empowerment. Today's workshop, we're going to be talking about Massachusetts' new paid family and medical leave law. And our workshop is going to be presented today by the Massachusetts Essentials for Childhood, Coalition for Social Justice, and the Department of Family and Medical Leave. So here's just a quick agenda. I'm going to quickly go over a quick summary about what our Office of Economic Empowerment does, some disclosures, housekeeping, and then we're going to pass it off to the hosts, and then leave some time at the end to answer any questions you all have by the presenters today. So a little bit about the Office of Economic Empowerment. We are a department within the Office of the Treasurer and the Receiver General of Massachusetts, tasked with supporting, advocating, and facilitating policies that empower all Massachusetts residents. Our programs serve women, families, high school students, veterans, and seniors. And our priorities include closing the wage gap, increasing access to financial education, improving college affordability, and investing in STEM careers and education. So this is a Zoom webinar and will be recorded. The recording may be uploaded onto a public website for future use. Any information shared through the question functions will be anonymous. Please note, however, that the chat record is subject to public record laws and as such is not anonymous. So as I just mentioned, this is a webinar and not a meeting, and so you will not be able to view the other participants. You can use the chat feature to communicate with the host, myself, and the other panelists. And you can also use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to ask questions that we can respond to throughout the webinar, and then also save some time at the end to answer any questions that we haven't been able to get to. At the end of this workshop, we're going to have an exit poll for people watching via Zoom. Please answer this quick little survey so we can continue to improve this program. And if you don't see it or you forget, don't worry, we'll be sending out an email for all of those who registered with the survey, the recording of this workshop, and any resources we talk about in today's workshop. And our team just wants to wish everyone watching a safe and happy holidays. This is going to be our last workshop for the year. We'll have some new workshops coming out in early January and throughout 2021. So stay tuned on our social media, and as well, if you register for this workshop, and you still can now if you're watching on Facebook, we can add you to our email list and keep you updated. All right, so now I'm going to hand off the presentation to the Department of Family and Medical Leave. And while they're getting set up, I'm also just gonna launch a quick poll just to get a sense of why, what's bringing people to today's workshop. And so for those people watching on Facebook, feel free to answer in the comments if you'd like. The poll is what brings you to today's webinar. And the options are, I'm interested in knowing more about paid leave for myself, or I'm interested in knowing more so I can tell people I work with. And then there's an option for other if those two options don't fit your description. And just about have all responses. I'm going to close the polling now and share the results. So it looks like almost a small majority of people came to tell the people that they work with about this program, and about a third of people are coming to learn more for themselves, with about 17% of people saying other. So this is good to know. And now, Mary and Johan, I will hand it off to you.
Thank you very much. We're delighted to be here today with you, and on behalf of the department, we want to thank you for the opportunity to present today. Johan, do you want to go to the next slide, please? So I thought I would start at the beginning and tell you about the origin of the Paid Family and Medical Leave Program. This legislation, it was actually a part of the Grand Bargain, which was signed into law June of 2018. And it was a part of a multifaceted piece of legislation that made the sales tax holiday permanent, and it increased the minimum wage. And from our vantage point, importantly, establish the Paid Family and Medical Leave Program. And for those of you who are legal eagles and want to check out the statutory reference, the statute is provided there on the bottom of the screen. Next, Johan. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of a retrospective. It seems hard to believe that we're old enough to have a retrospective, since it seems like yesterday that this program was created and the enabling legislation was signed. But as I said, that was in June of 2018. The following July, we issued some regulations, and that was a result of a great deal of input from the community. We had a series of hearings and a multitude of comments that came into the department. And so we incorporated that into the regulations that were issued in July of 2019. And then in October of 2019, that's when the contributions began. And we are working with our sister agency, the Department of Revenue. And so they have been collecting the contributions on our behalf. And so this was a combination of the contributions made by employees as well as employers with over 25 employees. And so these contributions were actually funding the program and go into a trust fund. And so this is a self-sustaining program. There's no need for authorizations from the legislature. We have been watching our quarterly contributions over the past year, and we feel that we're in good shape entering into this first season of benefits. So after we started getting the contributions, we also were accepting exemptions from employers that felt it was important to go with a private alternative. And so as long as the program offers equivalent benefits, an employer has the opportunity to either go through the private market or go through our program. And so the regulations that were issued initially really focused on these two areas. And once we had gone through a cycle or two, we were in a much better position to provide more detailed guidance. And so we did provide additional details where we could. The next benchmark for us was in September of 2020. And that's when our contact center launched. And we have, we'll be providing you with the number for that, but the contact center has multilingual capabilities. They have representatives that speak both Spanish and Portuguese. We also have access to a language line where we can get a translator who can help to assist those who do not have English as their primary language. And next, December of 2020, soft launch. This is taking several forms. We are in the process of enrolling employers so that they have access to the claims that are going to be coming in over the next few weeks. And so if you are an employer on the line, I encourage you to go to our website and sign up as a leave administrator. It's really important that everybody has a stake in this, and that we have participation from the medical community and the employers, as well as the employee themselves. So we really encourage that. We're also going to be offering an opportunity for some claims to be filed, and we'll talk about that in greater detail in a bit, but we are anxious to alleviate some of the pressure that other states have seen in the beginning weeks of the program. And so we will be opening the system for claims that relate to family leave for newborn babies, adopted children, and foster children. And this will apply to those children who were born, adopted, or placed in 2020. So we'll talk some more about that later. And then January 2nd, we will be accepting claims for a variety of other types of leave, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the final piece of this will come into place in July of this coming year, and this is where the caring leave goes into effect. So that will be the crowning piece of the program, and we will be running it full tilt at that point. Are there any questions at this point about the program, the basics of the program? We're going to talk
we haven't
more.
gotten any questions yet.
All right, so you'll let me know when you do?
Yeah, we'll interject.
All right, wonderful. That's great. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about who is covered by this legislation. This is available to individuals who work in Massachusetts, and covered individuals include W-2 workers, and it doesn't matter whether they're full-time, part-time, or seasonal, all are eligible for the program. It also includes self-employed individuals who enroll in the program. And lastly, it includes 1099 miscellaneous workers who work in Massachusetts and don't qualify as independent contractors, and they make up more than 50% of their employer's workforce. So there are some stipulations there. And if a 1099 miss worker is not eligible through the employer that they work for, they can enroll themselves as a self-employed individual. Next.
We did just get a couple questions if you want to answer them quickly.
Sure.
So one question was, what if you are already on FMLA going into the new year?
Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. In this initial year, there is no look back. Going forward, there will be look back, and so because we'll be wanting to know all of the benefits that an individual has taken within the benefit year. But this is starting off with a clean slate, so to speak, and what has happened within the past year is not considered when a claim is filed.
Right, and as other questions come in, we'll probably just wait till the end of your presentation just to make sure that you don't cover everything else.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Yep.
All right.
Okay, next slide. So one of the most important aspects of this is the broad range of leave types that are offered. We have bonding leave, and this is available for children that are born, adopted, or placed in foster care. We're going to be talking about bonding leave in much greater detail, but this is something that is eligible for both parents, and they can take leave at the same time or at different times. So we'll talk about that more in greater detail. But it is important to know that it does cover babies that are either born, adopted, or placed for 2020. So we are expecting that we'll be receiving a large number of applications for that, and so that's the first thing on our docket to address. And that is available for up to 12 weeks of leave. Next, we have caring leave, and as I mentioned, this is the last piece of the puzzle to go into play. This will go into effect in July of 2021, but this is to care for a family member with a serious medical condition. And then we have active duty leave, which is available for up to 26 weeks. And so this is to help families where a service member is assigned to active duty, or to care for that individual in the event that they sustain a serious injury while serving. And then the last component of this is medical care. And this piece of the leave puzzle is for employees to take care of their own serious health condition. So that completes the picture in terms of what types of leave are available. And again, I should have mentioned that the active duty leave, that's for up to 26 weeks, and caring for one's own medical condition is available for up to 20 weeks. Next. So let's talk about the employee benefits. These are twofold, and I think quite often we get sidetracked and think only about the wage benefits, but there actually are two types of benefits offered through this program. One is in terms of the dollars that are provided, but the other is in terms of job protection. And so let's talk briefly about the wage benefits. We do have a formula that's based off of the average weekly wage. And so there's actually a calculator on our website that can help you to figure out what your leave amount might be. And as I said, it is a formula. So it is really helpful to try and find out what the leave amount is prior to applying. Because that's an important consideration. You may choose to take another type of leave if this doesn't meet your needs, or you may choose to take a different form of it because of the amount that's offered. And I'm sorry, excuse the telephone. So the maximum amount that you can receive in benefits is $850 a week. And because that's based on an average wage figure, that has the ability to change every year depending on what that average weekly wage is. On the other side of the benefit scale, we have job protection. And when you return from leave, your employer has to restore you to a position that's either the same job that you had before taking leave, or a job that is equivalent in terms of pay, in terms of status, benefits, and length of service credit. So this is a really important factor, and your employer does not have the ability to punish you for filing a complaint against them if you are to appeal the finding of the department, the employer does not have the right to retaliate against you. And these protections start as soon as you tell your employer that you're planning to take PFML, and they stay in place until 6 months after your leave ends. So even if you're covered by a private plan, as I mentioned, employers have the option to adopt either a private plan or to go with the state plan, as long as it's equivalent to the state offered plan. And if you have an employer that offers this a private option, you still have the same job protection rights and are protected against retaliation. Okay, this is a very busy slide. We've got a lot of information here. We're focusing in on the family leave portion of the program. Initially, as I said, we're going to be zeroing in on those families that want to apply for children that were either born, placed, or adopted during 2020. So we're going to talk a little bit more generally about family leave and talk about some of the documentation requirements. So as we discussed previously, as a parent or legal guardian, you can take up to 12 weeks of family leave to bond with your child per year. And this is available during the first 12 months of the child's life. So if you decided that you wanted to break that up into two segments and take 6 weeks and then take 6 weeks, and perhaps your partner wants to jump in there after 6 weeks are completed and take leave as well, that's certainly an option. So you and your partner can choose to take the leave at the same time or separately. That's completely up to the employee, and that applies even if you work at the same place. So leave can be taken as full-time, part-time, or intermittent. Part-time and intermittent require the approval of your employer. So if you are going to, let's say, take every Friday and Wednesday, you would want to give your employer the opportunity to staff according to the needs of the business. And so we ask that employers or employees notify their employers as soon as they can, but certainly within 30 days of taking the leave. And again, it does require the approval of the employer if you're going to do it on a part-time or intermittent basis. So this is, in fact, the only way that an employer can actually deny a claim. Otherwise, the decision is made by the department. So one of the questions that's come to us on a fairly regular basis is that if you have multiple births, adoptions, or foster care placements in the same year, can you take more leave? If you have twins, are you entitled to 24 weeks? And the answer is no, that this is 12 weeks per parent and is not impacted by the number of childbirths or adoptions or foster care placements. And the last point here is that leave to bond with a newborn child can be combined with a medical leave. And that medical leave can be taken either before the birth or after the birth of a child. So if a doctor requires that an expectant mom is on bed rest for a month prior to the expected due date, then they can apply for medical leave to cover that And it's a very, very easy transition from medical leave to the bonding leave. And you can do that by calling the contact center. You do have to provide a piece of documentation for that, but that is something that can be done very easily. And again, it doesn't require an additional application to PFML. It can be done with a phone call. And from a customer experience standpoint, it's really important that folks apply for the medical leave before they apply for the bonding leave. And I know some anxious parents want to get that bonding leave approved, but if there's a need for a medical leave, then that would require that forms be submitted by mail rather than uploaded. It becomes a manual process rather than a digital one. So in order for people to have the best experience possible, we ask that you please apply for medical leave first. So let's talk a little bit about the documentation. We do have a form that's called Certification of Serious Medical Condition. And that form is not required for bonding leave. We want to go as paper-free and make this as easy for people as we can. But you would need to have that form completed if you were going to take medical leave and then transition to bonding leave. So if you look on the website, we will have more information coming in terms of how that form is completed. It's something that you need to take to your doctor and have them complete. But again, it can, in most instances, be uploaded and made a part of your application that way. But if we're talking specifically about the bonding leave aspect of this, you're going to need to submit one of three documents: either a copy of the child's birth certificate, or a statement from the child's healthcare provider stating the child's date of birth, or a statement from the mother's healthcare provider stating the child's date of birth. So really, this is very easily fulfilled by the documents that you get in your package as you're wheeled out the door of the hospital. And we're hoping that it's set up in a way that it is not onerous in terms of a burden for new parents. And in the case of a child who is adopted or placed for foster care, you're going to need documentation from the child's healthcare provider or the foster or adoption agency confirming the date of the child's adoption or placement. So again, these should be documents that are easily obtainable and can be, in most cases, scanned and uploaded to the department. Next. The employer role. We're going to talk about, I refer often to the three legs of the stool, and we do have a three-legged stool. We have employers that take part in the process. We have medical providers, and we have the claimant themselves. So the employer role is a very important piece here, and the department will actually not accept a claim from an employee unless the employee certifies that they have notified their employer in advance of the leave. And obviously, in the case of some sorts of medical situations like emergency surgery, or if someone breaks a leg or something like that, they obviously don't have any advance notice of that, so we can't expect that. But in the case of a planned surgery or childbirth, they do have the ability to provide advance notice, and we ask that be 30 days. So an employer is going to be notified 3 times during the course of a claim being filed. And the first one is when an application is started. So this is kind of giving a heads up to the employer that, hey, Johan is thinking about taking a leave, and you're aware that something is in the works. The second is when the application is actually submitted. And here we're talking about a full application. So it would include the healthcare provider form in the event that this is a medical circumstance that would require that form to be completed. And so this is the point where there is action required on the part of the employer. And we'll talk about what that is in just a minute. And the third point in time when an employer would be notified is when the department has completed its review of the claim. So you would be notified as to whether that claim was approved or denied. And we want to make sure that everybody's aware of what the timeframes are, and that we give the information that is required for an employer to manage the leaves properly. So I will say that we are going to be introducing what we call the MVP product, which does not mean most valuable product. It means the minimally viable product at launch. And the reason for that is that we want to make sure that the core functionality of the system is working properly. And there will be enhancements added to the system as we go along. Probably every quarter we'll be issuing new functionality. So there will be a lot more visibility for the employer as we go forward. But at this point, the notifications are based on email. And so that, again, is a reason why it's so important for the folks that administer the leaves, for employers to sign up. So we will be having some dashboarding that will help employers and be giving a much more robust version of the system as we move forward. So when you get that second notice, when an application is submitted, there are a few things that we're going to be looking for. We're going to want the employer to validate leave details and application information. We actually have an interface with about a dozen different state agencies, and that provides us information about wages. So, you're not going to have to go back into your payroll records and find out what somebody has made. We get that information from DOR, and you simply need to verify it. And then we ask that employers propose any amendments where necessary. If they think, if somebody's asked to take Mondays and Fridays off, but those are the busiest days for a particular business, they may propose that another schedule would work better, something like that. And then the employer also has the ability to provide any other relevant information to the application. And here, the kind of thing that I'm talking about is other leave types that an employee might have accessed for the same situation. So let's say you offer a short-term disability plan, and somebody's gone out on leave with that. We need to know about that because it impacts the maximum amount of leave that can be taken. We would want to make sure that in a benefit year, the individual doesn't take more than 26 weeks. So it's important that you give us that kind of a background. And if there's something that's a little fishy, employers have the ability to inform us of that as well. Let's say, for example, that every year somebody applies for leave and medical leave, and it's always June, July, and August. Well, that shows a pattern of use, and that's information that is valuable as well. So your employer can't reject your claim based on budget reasons, timing, or other circumstantial evidence or reason. And they can only reject your claim if you've already used maximum amount of benefit for the year, or there are aspects of the claim that are incorrect. They can tell us that, and that would factor into the decision. Again, an example of this is if somebody comes with a claim and they say they want to take intermittent leave, but that has not been cleared with the employer, then that would give them the right to request that the application be denied. Next, Johan. Oh, is this the end already? Here, I want to be sure that you take down this contact information. If you have questions about benefits and eligibility, please call our contact center. They're open from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. and the number is 833-344-7365. And those last 4 digits, if you take PFML and look at it on the telephone, that's how we got the 7365. So again, the contact center has representatives that speak English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and multilingual services are available as well. So you just have to request those, and we'll find a translator that can assist with your questions. So that is it for my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions. If it makes more sense to answer them after the other presentations, we can do that as well, because they may touch on some things that I have left out in respect to the time.
Yeah, I think we've gotten a handful of questions. I think we can do a couple quick ones now and then maybe save the rest for after the second presentation, if that sounds good.
Sure.
So one question someone asked, has it been determined if the benefit will be taxed?
I was just thinking about that question, that would be something that would be asked. We are expecting the IRS to provide a ruling shortly. We have not received notification from them yet, and until we do, we really can't comment on the taxability either for the employer or the employee.
Okay, that's good to know. And then one more question before we switch over. Does this apply to Uber and other gig economy app-based workers?
Yeah, that's a good question too. It depends on the type of 1099 that they receive. My understanding is that it is not the 1099 MISC, and that was what was authorized in the legislation. So I think Diana and Alex can probably comment on that as well, but that's my understanding.
Great. And just a quick reminder that we are going to send all of the contact information for the Department of Family and Medical Leave, as well as our next 2 presenters in the email that we'll be sending out tomorrow. And so now, Diana and Alex, take it away. And also, I also wanted to just mention, we do see all the other questions in here, and we will try to get to them all before we end for today.
Thanks, Eli. Thanks, Mary. It's a delight to be presenting with the department. I'm Alex Risley Schroeder, and I work with Massachusetts Essentials for Childhood, which is a multi-year initiative funded by the Centers for Disease Control and through the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. Our goal is to create safe, stable, nurturing environments and relationships for children and families. And specifically, we're working to ensure a robust and equitable rollout of paid family and medical leave benefits in Massachusetts. I'm delighted to be joined by Diana.
Hi, my name is Diana Painter. I'm from the Coalition for Social Justice. The Coalition is a group, a grassroots movement for economic justice, especially taking into account people who have historically been excluded from the benefits of the current system. We were on the team that helped advocate for the program, on the team that helped design the program, and we wanted to be here because we're committed to making sure that the program reaches low-income families that we work with. Slide.
Next slide. So we are super happy to be partnering today with the Department of Family and Medical Leave on this Money Talk Tuesday, and grateful to the Treasurer's Office, and excited to provide information about paid family and medical leave in Massachusetts, and particularly excited about the availability of bonding leave for working families who welcome babies and children into their lives in 2020. You've heard a little bit from Mary, and you'll hear a little bit more from us.
Yeah, we believe that people shouldn't have to choose between the job that they love and the family they love. And this program is going to help people both keep their job, have some income while they can't work, and while they need to take time off to care for themselves or a close family member. And we'll be talking about some of those dimensions today.
Great. Research from other parts of the US that have paid family and medical leave programs indicates that many of the families who most need these kinds of benefits don't actually know about them or don't take advantage of them. And we want to ensure in Massachusetts that this isn't the case. So we need all of us today hearing this. We need to help spread the word, help working families understand the benefits that they've paid into and how and when to take them. And this includes low and lower wage workers, part-time workers, self-employed workers, and fathers.
So some people may be familiar with the Family and Medical Leave Program, or FMLA, which provides job protected leave but does not offer income while doing it. It also leaves out many folks, like those working in companies with fewer than 50 employees. So this program in Massachusetts expands upon the job protections and offers folks a new right to take time off. This is a right that you've paid for and you can take for several reasons, like those on the screen here and what Mary was talking about. Another great program, the point of this program, is that employers cannot require workers to exhaust any rights to sick time, vacation time, or personal time prior to or while taking leave. For example, I have a friend who tragically recently found out she had cancer. She had to patch together money to be able to take some time off. She was fortunate enough to have co-workers who contributed their personal and sick days to help her have some income while she couldn't work. Well, now in the future, people like her will be able to take the time off they need to heal, have some income protection, and be able to keep their health insurance while not working and be able to go back to work without coworkers needing to make great sacrifices.
One of the exciting things about Massachusetts and our benefits is that families with babies or children who arrived in 2020 may be eligible for leave or a portion of leave depending on the arrival date. As you heard from the department's presentation, applications for bonding leave for these 2020 babies are beginning to be accepted shortly, like I think next week. So if you know a new baby or an adopted or foster child who's joined a family in 2020, let their families know about this.
One of the great things about this program is that so many types of workers are eligible. Anyone who has been employed and had income in the past 12 months and earned in Massachusetts can benefit if they paid into the program. Unemployed people who are separated for less than 6 months can use this benefit, and in some instances, the paid leave program will be higher income than their unemployment and may help extend the length of their benefits from unemployment, giving them the time they may need to find a new position within their career path. Self-employed folks like gig workers, which, somebody in the chat was asking about, Lyft and Uber drivers or independent contractors, can opt in if they're the right kind of employee like Mary was talking about and pay a small contribution. So it's great for people who often have limited access to any benefits. A friend of mine is a small business owner and a part-time waitress on the side. She needed a hip replacement in 2019, but didn't have access to any employer-sponsored benefits through either of her jobs. She struggled to keep her business open and pay its bills until she could work again. She's repeatedly told me how she wished this program had been available in 2019 because it's exactly the kind of insurance she needed to protect her livelihood and her business. Another important way that this program was designed was to prohibit discrimination for employees who need to take time off to care for themselves or their close family member. If an employer punishes an employee for taking leave by reducing their hours when they return, demoting them, there is a legal recourse. This program makes it easier for people to do what is best for their health and their family without the fear of retaliation, as Mary mentioned before. The other part is that the law says that once an employee returns, they have to have an equivalent job. Like I think Mary talked about that pretty well. But this helps people, like the reasons that these job protections are so important is that people may be afraid to take leave because they believe that they're going to be stepping out of line on a career path, right? Like a lot of women especially may think that taking time off is going to hurt them in their seniority or advancement or their length of service credit. But now under this program, the job protection means that they can take time off to start a family or care for someone they need and return to their job with the same benefits and stay on their career path. Alex?
It's so exciting that we have one of the most progressive leave programs in the US. And it's progressive for a number of reasons. One, the payout from leaves is higher for low-income workers than for those who earn above the average weekly wage. Another progressive aspect is there's a broad definition of family. Another aspect is that the payment into the system is shared between employers and employees in most cases. You've heard a lot about the strong job protections. That also makes us one of the most progressive programs in the country. And the other is the diversity of kinds of folks who can take leave. And you've heard about self-employed, part-time, recently unemployed, and gig workers, and the ways in which they all may have eligibility and participate in this. So I think my role in this webinar is to be the cheerleader. Let's take this opportunity to really spread the word about these benefits. And I also want to highlight for folks that intermittent leave can be a strategy for some circumstances that families can face, like to take regularly occurring medical appointments for children or for yourself as the program rolls out. And also the not needing to take all 12 weeks at once. As Mary said, one parent can take 6 weeks and then another parent can take 6 weeks. And so there are ways in which we can support families to really think about how to use these benefits to support the kind of time and care that they need to take.
So we are well on our way to having this amazing benefit, and families may not know about they're eligible. I wanted to show this timeline, not because you need to know any of these dates, but what you do need to know is that you have this right. This right went into law on January 1st, 2019. You've been paying for it since October 1st, 2019 as well, and you can start taking it. So this is your right, you've earned it, you've paid for it, and you have a right to take it. And take it in the best way that you need to be able to heal or care for your family. Next slide.
So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your clients, tell your neighbors. We need to get the word out. And what we know from the research done about other leave programs in the country is that it's especially important to get the word out because awareness can be limited about these benefits, especially among communities that have the highest need. Also because men and fathers typically don't take leave or only take 2 weeks. So a working father would be eligible for 12 weeks in this program. It's important also, I think, for us to get the word out because people can feel nervous about their jobs, understandably. And so it's reassuring to let them know that the Massachusetts benefits includes protection for our jobs and our benefits. There is a process to apply, but the Department of Family and Medical Leave is working hard to make that accessible online through the customer service call center. And it is possible to apply from your mobile phone and also solely with the help of the call center. And finally, it's important to get the word out because you will, in some instances, need to intersect with your medical provider. The application process will walk you through what you need to do to make that part as easy as possible. And you'll be able to see the form before you speak with your provider. Those that take bonding leave, it does not necessarily require that your medical provider certify anything. As Mary described, you can just submit the birth certificate or the paperwork that you received upon adopting or taking a foster child.
And if someone you know could benefit from this program in 2021, you can begin by visiting the Department of Family and Medical Leave website. It's been put in the chat a few times, so please don't hesitate. There's a lot of great information there that will help both workers, or if you're somebody who manages other employees or know somebody who's connected in HR, to be able to connect to the program. The department's hotline that was one of the reasons that we were part of the design team, is making sure that lots of language were going to be represented in the requirements for the law to be equitable and to reach people that need it. And the hotline is also a great place to ask questions about eligibility, benefits, or how to apply. The website also, I think, is pretty handy. So here's the website one more time for folks and the call centers. If it's been in the chat, or if you're watching from Facebook or some other device, please check out the website, call the call center, and please tell all your friends and family. This is a great program that we're excited is starting. Just 24 days till the program starts. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you both so much. So we're running a little close to the top of the hour. If you panelists can stay just a tiny bit long to answer, we have a good amount of questions. Does that work for you all? Okay, great. And so for all the attendees, sorry that this is running a little bit late, but if you have to get off, we are recording this, so we will send out the recording in our email tomorrow. And also, if you visit the Office of Economic Empowerment YouTube page, you'll see that uploaded to our channel tomorrow, and so you can catch anything you miss. So I'm just going back a little bit. We got a good amount of questions. So someone asked, can a grandparent take FMLA? I assume they're also asking about paid family medical leave. Can a grandparent take that if the newborn lives with them?
The leave is just available for the parents.
Okay, that's good to know. Someone asked, if an employee got unemployment, would that be considered?
Yeah, that there would be an offset for that benefit.
Okay, that's great. And someone also asked if an employee sold company stock, is that considered?
Considered as income, I'm assuming you mean.
I'm assuming that's what they mean, yeah.
You know what, I'd like to take that one back and research that if I could. Just, I don't want to give the wrong information.
Definitely.
So if you could provide me with contact information, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, we can jot that down and then get back to those who asked that question. Next question, can FMLA and paid family medical leave be used concurrently?
Yes, and in fact, they should be used concurrently.
Okay. Another question, if both parents want to take leave for bonding of child, do they each get 12 weeks?
Yes, they do.
That's awesome. And someone asked, where are the individual applications submitted to? My employer, question mark.
Yep, and that's something I neglected to say. The way that an application is submitted is digitally. You have the choice to either do it with someone in the contact center. They can walk you through every step of the way, or you can do it yourself. And I think, as Alex and Diana mentioned, we can do that. Program is accessible on laptop, on cell phone. It's meant to be highly accessible to folks. So you would go to a web address, and that will be on our website. I just want to point out that this is a new program, and so we are testing our system as we speak, and making sure that all the integrations are working properly. And so, as anxious as I am to get information out to people, we are releasing that information incrementally. And I know it's frustrating, but we want to make sure that everything is fully tested before we post information on our website. So that being said, please do check the website frequently. We do have an email newsletter that goes out, and that will often give you an indication that there's more information available on the website.
That's great to know. And we can post a link to that email newsletter for anyone who's interested. So our next question is a little long, asking which department will you be sharing the data with, specifically for people who utilize needs-based benefits and need to provide verification of the income that they are receiving? And will this information be viewable online? Can they request income verification easily, or will it have to be mailed?
Yes, there's a lot of information or a lot of questions and components to that. The interactions that we have are primarily with the Department of Revenue. Sorry, my laptop's about to die. That would be a bad thing. And also with the Registry of Motor Vehicles, sure that we have substantiated Social Security numbers and address verifications. So, I can get back to that individual with details on the rest of that question, if that's okay.
That's great. Yeah, we can follow up with a more specific answer on that one. I think we had a couple more. I know a couple that works for the same company, but only one was allowed FMLA. Is this something new under paid family medical leave that both can now take the 12 weeks?
Yeah, I can't really speak to how a company would have interpreted FMLA, but for our program, absolutely both parents are eligible for leave.
Okay, that's great. All right, so I'm going to pop up our exit poll. If everyone can take just a couple seconds to fill this out, it'll really help us improve our workshops. I'll see if any more questions filter in the next couple minutes, but thank you all for your great presentations and answering all these questions. This was really incredible. I learned so much, and we clearly had a very engaged audience.
Good.
I know we had some specific questions, and we will follow up with those more specifically when we get more information on that. And again, for anyone that wants to know more information, please check your emails tomorrow. We'll send contact information for all of these groups, the recording for the video, and can answer any more questions you have. So
could I just mention?
Yes, yep.
Johan just put up a link to our website. There is quite a bit of information on how PFML is different from FMLA. And so those of you who want to take a look at that, it will probably give you a more comprehensive answer than I did. But
that's great.
That's
I've looked at your website too, and there's plenty of different resources like a benefits calculator where you can see how much you are eligible to earn based on your income. I highly recommend looking at that website. Looks like we're not getting any more questions. So thanks again, everyone, for taking some time to join us today. Thank you again to the panelists, and I hope you'll have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thanks
Bye,
everyone
everyone.
for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Thank you to the treasurer's office for having us.
Yes.